Nebraska, heading for lows tonight of 3 below zero. It's 2 o'clock. Garrison Keillor's A Prairie Home Companion is next.
From Minnesota Public Radio.
Of the Missouri Theater here from the beautiful Orpheum Theater in downtown Sioux City, Iowa. It's a live broadcast of A Prairie Home Companion, produced by Prairie Home Productions and presented by Minnesota Public Radio. A Prairie Home Companion brought to you by Land's End, the people who put a complete line of casual clothing at your fingertips at www.landsend.com. And also by the Sleep Number bed by Select Comfort, the bed that lets you and your companion adjust the mattress firmness to your exact preference, your Sleep Number. Sioux City, Iowa, the confluence of 3 rivers and 3 states, where Iowa meets Nebraska and South Dakota, where the Missouri and the Big Sioux and the Floyd River flow into here together. Missouri flowing past Sioux City on its way to Council Bluffs, Kansas City and St. Louis, where it joins the Mississippi. Rich Dworsky here with the shoe band, Pat Donahue on guitar, Johnny Neiman joining us on the fiddle and the mandolin. Sue Scott and Tim Russell are with us as well. We have a fine choir that traveled on the bus 5 hours from Minneapolis to be with us. Vocal Essence with our good friend, Mr. Philip Brunel, with us. Kelly Hunt is with us, R&B singer from Kansas City, going to sit down and entertain you. And a young man from the Netherlands who came over here unsuspecting to Iowa a few years ago. Did not know he was coming to northwestern Iowa, where Dutch Reform people settled back in the 1870s, came here innocently and played a concert at the Sioux City Arts Center, fell in love with a young woman, married her, and lives here today. Mr. Thomas Alexander on our show. Well, it's been cold. It's been overcast in Lake Wobegon. Snow rising from all of those chimneys every day. Somehow cold and overcast suits our mood. People do well in it. And then, too, that little amaryllis that I got from my aunt, I put in the jar. It's on the windowsill in the kitchen, just about to sprout right now. Lutheran Church Council met on Tuesday to take up the budget deficit. They're about $45,000 short on pledges. The temptation is great to make up that by reducing the money they send to Lutheran World Relief, but they're trying not to. They're thinking maybe they can turn the thermostat down on Sunday mornings. It's at 62, maybe 58, if there are enough people come to warm up the place. At Our Lady of Perpetual Responsibility Church, they're looking for chaperones for the young people's ski trip up to Duluth. The people who chaperoned last year, Wally and Evelyn Krebsbach, did not volunteer this year after they were locked in the bathroom at the ski chalet for 8 hours. So they're looking for new people. The Lake Wobegon Leonards lost to St. Margaret 52-26 this last week. They really missed Chad. He was out with the bum knee. And, of course, it's always tough playing St. Margaret's on their home court. And this next week we'll be at our home court advantage against Avon. So things are looking good. And it's a building year. Those sophomores are really coming along. And I personally feel that the 1-8 record doesn't reflect the true quality of our team. We've come here to Iowa, on the very verge, the very eve of the great event, every 4 years, democracy suddenly moves into the forefront. The beginning of the Iowa caucuses, the official start of the 2004 presidential campaign, the longest job interview in the world, in which each applicant is asked the same question 2,500 times, and you're expected to look as if you're having a great time. It's a sort of make-work program for journalists who follow a well-known principle in journalism. And the principle is that if you get somebody talking long enough, they will eventually say something truly stupid. The same principle that's followed by cops in interrogation. So here we are. I wrote some limericks here for some of our heroic candidates. I admire these people doing what they do. There was a Democrat named Dean who appealed to the young and the green and referenced librarians and octogenarians and girls with long hair named Christine. There once was a fellow named Carey who said that gay men should not marry, although in some places matching pillowcases are allowed by the judiciary. There once was a general named Clark who felt that his image was stark. To show his warm side, he laughed and he cried, though his laugh sounded more like a bark. There once was a fellow named Lieberman who ran for the Democratic nomination. And if this doesn't sound the way you think a limerick should, well, I'm doing the best I can under the circumstances. In China they do not have chili, so let's have another one just like the other one and waltz me around again, Willie. There was Senator Edwards' young John, who looked like he'd come from a salon. He was handsome and fair and had beautiful hair, and so did the horse he rode on. There once was a man named Gephardt who held his hand over his heart and solemnly vowed in front of the crowd he would never put horse behind cart. There was a man named Kucinich, I'm really proud of this one, who came from a strong liberal lineage. Though one day in Ames he got mixed up on names and referred to kohlrabi as spinach. In China they do not have chili, so let's have another one just like the other one and waltz me around again, Willie. Let's bring up Mr. Pat Donahue, Johnny Neiman. Let's just sing a little train blues here.
Yes, you know, Garrison, I was listening to the radio the other day. I heard a live newscast from here in Sioux City. At the end of the newscast, there was this long whistle blowing in the background of a train. I hadn't heard that for a long time, so it started me writing this tune here.
All right.
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
It's a long train moving out of town, and it's a long time till I'll be back around. So long, babe, I'm gone, and it's a long train I'm riding on. Well, I rode the Central, I rode the Southern, and I rode the Santa Fe. I thought when I found you that I was home to stay. But what do you know? Just goes to show how wrong a man can be. And at the end of the day, far away is gonna be a home to me. 'Cause it's a long train a long time till I'll be back around. So long, babe. Don't look now, I'm gone. But it's a long train I'm riding on. Free and baby I ain't coming back, 'cause it's a long train rolling out of town, and it's a long time till I'll be back around. So long, babe, don't look now, I'm gone, but it's a long train I'm riding on. All right, Betsy. It's a long time till I'll be back around. So long, baby. Don't look now, I'm gone. But it's a long train I'm riding on. Yeah, I'm riding on. You know I'm riding on.
That's about down here, long train. Long train.
The Lives of the Cowboys, brought to you by Old Leather Buck Saddle Pads. And now as we join Dusty and Lefty, they're heading south along the Missouri River towards Sioux City.
Well, I thought you said there was a stockyards here.
There was.
I don't see any.
Well, maybe it's up ahead.
I don't see one.
Come on. Yeah.
See an art center.
That what that is? Huh.
Churches. No place you take cattle. Well, maybe some churches. Amazing to think in just a couple short days, folks in these houses are going to be starting the ball rolling towards the election of a new president of the United States.
Who said there's going to be a new one?
Well, president, you know, somebody. Quite a privilege, first presidential primary in the country, Iowa.
It's caucuses, it ain't a primary.
Anyway, it's inspiring. Inspiring to me, some of us. Democracy is like sex, Dusty.
That's so.
When it's good, it's great, and when it's bad, it's still pretty good. Huh?
Well, you know what I'd say? I'd say democracy's like a royal flush.
Yeah, what's that?
You read about it, but don't hold your breath waiting for it to happen.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, come on.
All these candidates traveling around the state of Iowa, I tell you, I respect them. Living the cowboy life, they do, you know.
How's that?
Lonely, nobody to talk to, you know, beds are uncomfortable, food is terrible, and your back hurts, and every time you turn around, there are all these dull, uncomprehending faces.
Yeah, come on. Get up, get up. Yeah. Well, the difference is that we're free and they're not.
Yeah?
We can say anything we please. Those guys are all scripted.
Yeah, well, what have you said that would... What have you said that was so brilliant, huh?
I didn't say I had. I said it was free duties.
Well, I mean, you go ahead. Don't let me stop you.
Well, when I think you're ready to hear it, then maybe I will.
Well,
Meanwhile, I want to get to Sioux City and sell the herd and get me a steak dinner and a bottle of rot gut whiskey and meet one of those liberal dance-hall floozies and dance till the sun comes up.
oh, so you may have to go to Nebraska for that. I'm not... I don't know. Whiskey and loose women, not my favorite things, I must say.
What are your favorite things? Raindrops and roses, whiskers on kittens?
Oh, never mind. Never mind. Wouldn't mind having some roses, actually.
What?
Sort of mist flowers out here on the trail. Got some bulbs in my saddlebag. I don't think I told you.
What you got?
Huh? Got a narcissus.
Narcissus, huh?
Got a narcissus.
I never heard of a cowboy having a narcissus.
Well, now you have. Here's a cowboy who's got a narcissus.
Well, word gets around if you have a narcissus, the boys are going to give you a nickname and it won't be Narce.
Ah.
Giddy up. Come on, let's go. Come on.
We sold the cattle to a fellow we met in a parking lot who gave us some cash and also a personal check, which I feel kind of uneasy accepting a personal check on a Saturday morning when the banks are closed, but what could you do? It was cold. We needed to get a room. We split the dough, and he headed over to Nebraska, and I headed down to the Pork Barrel Casino. I just feeling kind of lucky. Went in and looked around and went over to a blackjack table, and the dealer sort of looked familiar. He had dark black hair, kind of swept back, wearing a blue suit and a tie.
Excuse me, but if you're interested in a game of blackjack, I'd be pleased to deal for you, just as I've dealt blackjack to countless Americans of all walks of life and all ethnic backgrounds who have come here to the casino in the hopes of improving their lives.
Your name tag says Gore. Are you?
Yes.
You're the...
One and the same. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, and that is one of the gratifying things about public life is the number of people just as yourself with whom I feel I have a personal relationship.
Yes. So now you're a blackjack dealer.
I am, and before I begin to deal the cards, let me just share with you a feeling I have, and perhaps you have it too, that even though there are those who say the statistical probabilities of blackjack are slim, and even though your luck may have been poor in the past, you are on the verge of a tremendous victory here.
Thank you. If you could...
I feel that, and I feel that you're just about to turn your life around and
you could just,
find a new purpose, a new meaning.
So he finally dealt me some cards, and I lost that round, and I kept losing for about the next half hour, though Al Gore was very encouraging.
Let me just say further that some people would say that is not a particularly good move to hold at 13.
Well,
but there are reasons for doing that, good reasons, and now I can't help but feeling that you're just about to win very, very big indeed. Here we go.
Yes.
Look at that. Well, there's a 2. Now, that's a good start.
Thank you.
Oh, and there's a 6 of hearts. Likewise a fine card.
Yes.
And now you have 8.
Thank you very much.
So I think that further...
I made it out the door with still a couple bucks left, and there at the door was a young woman who was handing out campaign pamphlets.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
Do you have a minute to talk about how we need to keep Social Security strong for our children?
Well, I don't have children.
And how we need to protect the environment so it is there for our kids?
Yeah, well, I'm a cowboy. I'm in kind of an adversarial relationship with the environment. But,
well, I'm campaigning for Larry Lipscomb for the Democratic nomination for president.
Yeah, well, that's fine, but I'm not an Iowan. You see, I'm a cowboy. I don't have a residence. I don't have a bank account. I don't pay taxes.
Well, he's the vegetarian candidate, and he's the only one standing up for animal rights.
I see.
He's anti-pork.
Well, that's interesting.
Do you know what it's like for a pig to be slaughtered?
I imagine it's a big experience.
It is.
Yes.
Most certainly is. And Larry, he had a pet pig when he was a boy, so he understands. Yes. And he wants to free pigs to lead natural lives.
I see. How's he doing in Iowa here?
Well, we feel our message is getting across.
She was such a nice person, and I took a pamphlet from her and invited her in for a cup of coffee, and we sat and we talked about Social Security and environment, and then she noticed my guitar there.
Oh, are you a singer?
Well, sometimes I think I am, yes.
Well, did you ever have like a hit record or anything?
No, I never did. Never did. Never will either.
Huh.
Winning is an unnatural condition, my child. You learn that when you get to be my age. It's just a temporary illusion. Winning. Life is not about winning. It's about warmth. And it's about friendship. I wrote a little song about that here. Blow, blow, thou winter wind, thou art not so unkind, as man's ingratitude, as man's ingratitude. Thy teeth are not so sharp, thy bite is not so hard, as callous attitude, as callous attitude. Come, come, my cowboy pals, here in the old corral, and build a fire on an evening dark and drear, and let us not discuss the ills befallen us, but raise a glass of cheer and raise a glass of cheer. Hi-yo, get along, little doggies. How fortunate are we in this good company. Oh, Iowa, I raise a simple song to you. Standing eye to eye, oh, what a clear blue sky. I owe a lot to you, Iowa, yes, I do. I-oh, get along, little doggies. It's kind of the refrain there. Let friendship rule the day, let grudges be put away, and be of cheerful mind here on a winter night. In the city of the Sioux, so glad to be with you, Republicans or Democrats of left or right. I-oh, get along, little Democrats.
The Lives of the Cowboys was brought to you by Iowa brand guitar strings. They're a little flat, but after a while, you don't notice it.
Sue Scott and Tim Russell. Well, I see a familiar face coming towards the piano. We keep meeting up in strange cities. Kelly Hunt here at the piano.
Hi.
Did I say before that you're from Kansas City?
I was born in Kansas City, and I'm living in Lawrence, Kansas.
Lawrence, Kansas.
Yes, indeed.
All right, good. I keep meeting up with you and your band all over America. Where did we meet last? Was it in New Orleans?
Oh, you know, last we met was at Purdue.
Memphis?
Purdue.
Yes. Lafayette, Indiana.
Why, yes, it was.
Where will we meet next?
Well, only we know this.
Nomads.
That's
Nomads.
right. Nomads on the road.
How's life treating you?
Life's great. I'm out touring. I've got a new CD coming out in a couple of months, and I'm here with you tonight.
And life has brought you to Sioux City, Iowa?
Life has brought me to Sioux City.
Where are you playing here?
We're playing at a place, my band is here tonight, and we're going to be playing at a place called The Attic after this show.
The Attic?
The Attic. So come on over to The Attic.
Attic, all right.
Yeah, fly in, drive in, whatever. Yes, indeed.
Play us a tune here.
I shall do it.
Does piano suit you all right?
I love this piano.
All right.
As long as I have my hands on some keys, I'm a happy gal.
Good. What you going to do here?
I'm going to play a song that I wrote with a wonderful songwriter-producer named Gary Nicholson called It Ain't Over When It's Over. And let the good times roll. It ain't over when it's over. The soul lives on and it never dies. No, it ain't over when it's over. And there's a better world waiting on the other side. That's right. Scatter my
children. Thomas Alexander is with us. Fine choir vocal lessons. Philip Purnell directing. And Johnny Neiman as well. This first half hour of our show brought to you by Powder Milk Biscuits in the big blue box with a picture of the biscuit on the cover. Buy them ready-made in the brown bag with the dark stains that indicate freshness. Made from whole wheat that gives shy persons the strength to get up and do what needs to be done. Heavens, they're tasty. Minnesota High School, the Trojans from just north of the Iowa border. You've never heard this before. This is your big chance. When it's hog calling time in Nebraska, then it's hog calling time in Nebraska. When it's hog calling time in Nebraska, then it's hog calling time in everybody. When it's hog calling time in Nebraska, when it's hog calling time in Nebraska, then it's hog calling time in Nebraska, then it's hog calling time in Nebraska. These are songs that a choir that was traveling many hours on a bus might sing by way of amusement. When you face a 5-hour bus ride from Minneapolis to Sioux City, Iowa, and you leave at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you drive straight through, and you have a little bit of coffee and a few caramel rolls, and then after the second hour or so, things do start to get a little thin. And so you look at the members of the choir and we sing each other's high school fight songs. This most wonderful fight song comes from Edsel Ford High School in Dearborn, Michigan. Lois, you have to share this with us here.
To your colors, flag.
Ford High School. Dearborn, Michigan. What was the nickname of the team?
Thunderbirds.
Oh, of course. Of course. The car, not the wine. Yeah. Well, of course, in a choir like this, you've got so many Lutherans. You're just bound to have 1,000 Lutherans, so I suppose you have to do some Lutheran school hymn. Well, this is Gustavus, but you know, if you take the name Gustavus Choir, you could change that so easily to Western Iowa, couldn't you? And just try to change the word there.
Remember the times you had here. Remember when you're away. Remember friends you've made here, and don't forget to come back someday. Remember the hills and valleys, the sky so heavily blue, for you belong to Western Iowa.
Right here in Sioux City, there is a school, Western Iowa Tech Community College, which is a great school. And in their wisdom, they don't have a football team. They don't have a fight song. So we thought we should write one for them. Here, let's try "Cheer, Cheer" for Western Iowa Tech. Here.
Cheer, cheer for Western Iowa Tech. We don't play football at all, what the heck? We learn art and culture and knowledge at Western Iowa Tech Community College.
You're welcome to it. Use it if you would like. This Monday, the children of Lake Wobegon and other schools are off for Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. And the choir would like to sing for you here. Beautiful arrangement, beautiful composition by Carrie John Franklin. Words from the book of the prophet Isaiah and the poet Langston Hughes, called "Hold Fast to Dreams."
freedom ring, let 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 freedom ring. Everybody shall be exalted. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. Every hill and mountain shall be made low. Nor all places will be made plain. Let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring, let freedom ring. And the crooked places will be made straight. Let freedom ring, 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 let freedom ring. And every valley shall be exalted, and every hill and mountain shall be made low. All places will be made plain, and the crooked places will be made straight, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see together. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. Hold fast to dreams. Hold fast to dreams. Dreams die. Life is a broken winged bird that cannot fly. Hold fast to dreams. Hold fast to dreams. For when dreams go, life is a Hold fast to dreams. Hold fast to dreams. Hold fast to dreams. Hold fast to
Hold Fast to Dreams, Philip Grinnell and his choir vocal essence. Our show coming to you from Sioux City, Iowa, on the banks of the Missouri, great old riverboat town. The riverboat stopped here, and then, of course, the railroad came in, and it was a big stockyard town for years. All of these industries drew a large black population to Sioux City, and out of that African-American community came a famous touring, barnstorming softball team, the Sioux City Ghosts, in the 1920s and the 1930s. They played hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games all over the country, rode on buses, of course, and they were sort of the Harlem Globetrotters of softball. They played exhibition games. They had all these comical turns that they did. They'd ride the buses. They'd ride the bases, steel bases on a bicycle, and sometimes a runner would steal from first. He'd steal third, running right across the pitcher's mound, and then he'd go back and steal first again. And sometimes the whole outfield and infield would come in and let the pitcher strike out the opposite side all by himself. And sometimes they'd do a little game called pantomime baseball. They'd hide the ball and they'd throw it back and forth, make the sound of the ball in their gloves. They entertained people all over this country, including in towns where they could not eat in the restaurants or sleep in the hotels. They were great comedians, and there's still some of the ghosts who are alive today, and the others are spirits, the ghosts of ghosts. Mr. Johnny Neiman has ridden in buses in his day. Mandolin players will just about drive you crazy on a bus. Sit there and play all those 16th notes for hours and hours until you just have to make them go ride in the trunk. This is a Buck Owens song, right, Johnny?
I believe it is.
I believe so, too. Sing it for us, won't you?
walk the floor. Don't know how I can stand this anymore. Lonely all the time since I lost you. Received your invitation to the room. I don't know why you caused me such pain. I just hope I never go through this much again. Thanks for sending something I can't use. Received your invitation to the
Johnny Heyman and Pat Donahue there in Bucko. Invitation to the Blues. This portion of our show brought to you by the Ketchup Advisory Board.
These are the good years for bother me.
You took the laughter from this world of mine.
And it seemed to solve that twinge in her back.
Thanks
So now
to
she doesn't have to see a
the sun
chiropractor.
will never
The dry
shine.
cleaners burned a big hole in my sweater that Barb's mother gave me last year. The one she hid in herself that makes me look like a hunchback. We should have been happy. And then one morning, I found Barb online, typing away. Barb, what are you doing?
I'm sending an email to Howard Dean, Jim, just telling him I think he needs to try a different tie.
I don't think it's a good idea for you to get so wound up about one candidate, Barb. Remember how excited you got about Michael Dukakis? It took you years to recover.
How can I not care, Jim? How can I ignore what is going on in this country?
Most Americans don't have a problem with that, Barb.
I was looking at a website for a retirement village in Costa Rica, Jim.
Retirement?
Well, I was thinking that after November we might like to leave the country for a while.
But why Costa Rica?
Because it's warm, Jim. That's why. Warm? A person does not have to be cold. And it's inexpensive, and it's beautiful. There's mountains and rainforest, and this is a gated retirement community, Jim. It's restricted to Democrats who didn't vote for Ralph Nader. There'll be a lot of people just like us, and the food is cheap, and we can buy medications from pushcart vendors.
Yes, but we're needed here, Barb, in America.
Are we? I don't know. It's called Whispering Tortillas, and I sent for a brochure.
Barb,
What?
let's talk about this later, after we have a helping of ketchup. Ketchup contains natural mellowing agents that help you gain perspective when you need to make major decisions.
Going down to paradise, won't you come and see us? The air is full of hallelujahs and Ave Marias. Life is flowing like ketchup on tortillas.
Ketchup for the good times.
Ketchup, ketchup.
Vocal lessons. Philip Rennell's Fine Choir is with us on our show in this half hour. We're in Sioux City. We're in northwestern Iowa, the hotbed of Dutch Calvinism in the Midwest, where the good farmers of the Dutch Reformed Church settled in the 1870s. Some of them went to western Michigan. They were hoping to get to Wisconsin, but Lake Michigan was in the way, and it was stormy, and the Lord chose not to part the waters, so they stayed there in Michigan and around that little town called Holland, and others came out here to northwestern Iowa, first to Pella, and then Orange City, and Sioux Center, and Sioux City. Fine church, the Dutch Reformed Church, that produced some awfully good people, some awfully hard workers, and also gave us some wonderful hymns. John Calvin, not the same as Lutheranism at all, although Luther and Calvin lived at about the same time. Calvinism is based on 5 points which spell out the word tulip. The 5 points of Calvinism are total depravity, unconditional election, limited atonement, irresistible grace, and perseverance of the saints. T, total depravity, means that everyone is sinful. Unconditional election means that God chooses who will be saved, and it doesn't matter whether you're nice or not. If you're elected, that's it. L, limited atonement. Jesus died for those who are chosen and not for everyone. Irresistible grace means that if God chooses you to be saved, you have no choice in the matter. God has the power of the draft. And P stands for perseverance of the saints, meaning that if you are chosen, you are saved. No matter what you do afterward, you will always be saved, no matter what. Nonetheless, those Dutch Reformed people of northwestern Iowa behaved pretty darned well for people who believed in perseverance of the saints. Tulip means Calvinism. And now all of you know the truth, and so you are responsible for it, more than you were just a moment ago when you were ignorant. Think about that. Religion was taken very seriously by the Dutch Reformed. They left the Netherlands on account of it, some to western Michigan and some to Iowa, to Pella, just east of Des Moines. And when that got too crowded and the land prices went up, they came here to Sioux City in the spring of 1869, and they brought their hymns with them. We gather together to ask the Lord's blessing. He chastens and hastens His will to make known. The wicked oppressing now cease from distressing. Sing praises to His name. He forgets not His own. We all do extol Thee, Thou leader triumphant, and pray that Thou still our defender wilt be. Let Thy congregation escape tribulation. Thy name be ever praised, O Lord, make us free. They settled here on the prairie, stuck it out through the infestation of locusts and through drought and through storms. They planted their windbreaks and the groves around the farmyards. They founded their churches and their colleges. Northwestern College in Orange City and Dordt College in Sioux Center. Both started out as high schools and now are full Christian liberal arts colleges. They started out as rather austere people. The church service in the Dutch Reformed Church was known for its long sermons. And when they first arrived here, they did not allow the singing of hymns in church, just the singing of the psalms. They frowned on drinking and gambling and smoking and dancing and the theater. They made their peace with movies eventually, and the colleges started allowing social dancing in the late 1970s. In the 30s, about the time that the Dutch language started to fade, they began festivals to celebrate. The Tulip Festivals, celebrate the old songs and the old food. Most of all, they survived all of their own divisions. They say that if you have one Dutchman, you have a theologian. If you have two, you have a church. If you have three, you have a division. So you had the Christian Reformed, which split off from the Reformed Church in America and was joined by the true Protestant Dutch Reformed, and then the Protestant Reformed Church split off from that, and the United Reformed Church. But one thing held them together, and that was the hymns. They all still loved the same songs. You all know this song, the doxology, Old 100. Blessings flow, praise him, all creatures here below. Praise God from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him, all above and below. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Important to remember as we go into an election year, when we hear so many complaints, and when we have a perfect right to air all of our complaints, and we should not hesitate to air a single one of them, and yet we should remember how fortunate we are, how truly deeply fortunate we are, if we compare our lives to the lives of the ancestors who settled here and the Indian nations who came before them, and all that they endured in winter, the cold and the misery and the suffering and the food that they had to scrape up wherever they could. And here we are, and we have all of these amazing inventions. We fly here and there, and we send beautiful pictures of our beautiful children over phone lines. We have coffee makers and radios, and some radios have coffee makers with them. We have antibiotics and all sorts of wonderful things. We should never forget how truly blessed we are. We have no idea what the future holds for us. People say that thermal activity under Yellowstone Park, that great volcano that sits out there in Wyoming, is an ominous sign. There's a volcano that has gone off about every 600,000 years, and it has not gone off for 640,000 years. And people predict a great cataclysm, maybe next week, maybe in a year, maybe in 50 years, maybe in 10,000 years. We have no idea. When it does happen, when that great volcano blows, lava will be flung 35 miles into the stratosphere. There will be dust spread over the earth. There'll be darkness. It will have a winter like we've never had before. It will be a sound heard around the world. When that all blows, all of our other problems will be forgotten. I can promise you, and people for 700 miles around Yellowstone will need make no more plans whatsoever. We have no idea what the future holds, and so every day is beautiful. There were beautiful days here this last week, winter days, overcast, yes, but not gloomy, a kind of a muted light, a beautiful pale light shone, not too cold, beautiful shades of gray. You could walk outside and admire it and feel grateful to be here. Let's close this first hour with a little song about Lake Wobegon. Music is by Dvorak. Morning light light soft and bright, woe begone reveals. Early frost all across farm and woods and fields. Coffee done, I'll have some, step outside alone. Look around, set me down on a slab of stone. By the barn, cattle turn, murmur in the pen. Soft and pure cow manure, I know where I am. I know where I am. I am home again. Precious Lord, by your word, simple gifts are blessed. Creatures all great and small, heavenly love express. Love and faithfulness. Let the promise of salvation come by daily observation in this farmyard. Lord, be merciful. My old dog takes his walk, sniffing every tree. Every smell seems to tell his biography. Chickens dash across the grass, cats patrol the yard. 7 geese marching east form an honored guard. Then a small trumpet call ringing to the skies. 3 loud barks. Wake up and arise, be in paradise, be in Thank you so much. Our show coming to you live from Sioux City, Iowa. And we're going to pause and take just a brief intermission, and then we'll be back with the second half with vocal lessons. And Philip Brunel, Kelly Hunt is back. Thomas Alexander, waiting in the wings, is going to come out and play some for you as well on the news from Lake Wobegon. You're listening to a Prairie Home Companion coming to you live from the beautiful restored Orpheum Theater here in downtown Sioux City, Iowa. Companion is brought to your family by the friendly people at Land's End, who always love to hear from you at 1-800-LANDS-END or on the web at www.landsend.com. And by the Sleep Number bed from Select Comfort, the bed that adjusts on each side to your firmness preference, your sleep number. You can find the store nearest you at 1-800-SLEEP-NUMBER. Special support for tonight's show is provided by Gateway, transforming itself from a leading PC company into a provider of technology solutions including thin TVs, digital cameras, and enterprise products. Additional support is provided by Marshall Fields Travel, offering trip packages this April and May to upcoming shows of A Prairie Home Companion at the Fitzgerald Theater in St. Paul and some other cities too. You can get information online at prairiehome.org or call 866-337-9184. You can find out much more about our show on our website, prairiehome.org. See live images of the show as it happens on our webcast page, listen to bits of old shows, read old scripts, learn about the guests, and if you'd like, order from our online catalog, featuring a new 4-CD set, Home on the Prairie, Lake Wobegon stories from the past 4 seasons. A set of glasses from our special sponsors, the Duct Tape Council, the Ketchup Advisory Board, Powder Milk, and Bertha's Kitty Boutique. All of this online at prairiehome.org. A Prairie Home Companion is produced by Prairie Home Productions, presented by Minnesota Public Radio, and distributed by PRI.
This is KWIT FM 90.3 and KOJI 90.7. We're proudly celebrating 25 years of great radio. For detailed information about our programming, click under our website at www.kwit-koji.org. We'll return to Garrison Keillor's Prairie Home Companion in just a few moments here on FM 90.
Broadcast. Having a good time here in Sioux City on the banks of the Missouri River. Look at it. Find it on a map. Get yourself acquainted with geography in this part of the country. And while you do that, we'll say hello to Mom and Dad out in Linden, Washington, from Ben and Pat and Jason and Mia are here. Glad the surgery went well. Hello to Daphne at the U.S. Coast Guard Academy from your very proud Mom and Dad. They love you. They miss you. Study hard. Dr. Dunker, get well soon, says everyone at Western Iowa Tech. And hello to Charlotte and Earl in Seattle and Trish and Lawrence in Denver. Love from Lucy and Pete. Dan says hello to his mother, Evelyn. She's here in Iowa somewhere. And Clarence and Joanne, the Snowbirds, they're on their way down to Texas for the month of January. Hello from your kids. Hello to Dennis, who is over in Burlington writing his sermon for tomorrow morning. Grandma Lynn says hello to her grandchildren Owen and Hadley in Denver. And Mom says hello to her son Nate in Scotland. There is no scotch here at our home, but hope you come home anyway. Hello to Bob and Jolene. Bob and Jolene, a note from your friend Arlene. Do yourselves a favor. Wipe off the vomit. Hire a babysitter. Go out for the evening. Good advice to all parents of small children. Hello to Sandy and David, Jean, and Mom and Dad from Eric. Can't wait to see you this summer in the Upper Peninsula. Hello to Russ. Enjoyed the story about the Harley trip to Montana. I'm going to check those historic bars out, says Darrell. And hello to the Steve Hibma family from Melvin, Iowa. Adam and Elisa want to say hello to the Lower Gilmanton Ballet Society. This year, let's have the women wear the dresses. Happy birthday to Jean in Lewistown, Montana, from Connie and Jim. To our friends Mike and Elaine from Sheldon, Iowa. See you in Bimini. Sharon says hello to Ralph and Harriet in Denver. Did you get the message about the problem with the fruitcake? Hello to the preacher and his wife and her sister in Osceola, Iowa. John says hello to Sister Chris. The kidney you loaned me 28 years ago is still working. Dick is here and says only 89 more mornings to answer the alarm. Hello to Siri from Ernest Caltvet. Siri's listening in New York. Good luck on your audition on Monday. Happy birthday to Kevin Swenson in Pennsylvania. And hello to the Millers in Boise from Jim and Cookie. They're going to celebrate Cookie's birthday in Italy. Grandpa Bolden, happy 98th birthday from Denny. Happy birthday to Aunt Joanne and Jenny. Sorry you couldn't be here. Happy birthday to Frank and Jean from John and Kitty. Maybe we'll break you out of that assisted living facility as soon as your fracture heals. Say hello to Nurse Ratchet. Hello to Gary Golden on your birthday. And here's a note to the girls in Austin from your mom in Sioux City. So happy to be living here. That's Austin, Texas. Hello to my adventurous buddy Darrell from your pal Jay. And hello to Pat and Ed in Denver from Sue and Joe, and to Andy and Todd from Joe and Judy. You were right, they could easily raise chickens in here. It's such a pleasure to welcome a couple of distinguished guests. I want to bring out the governor here and talk to him. Governor Vilsack is here. Governor Vilsack, there you are. Pleasure to meet you. I'm Lieutenant Governor Sally Pedersen. Step right up here. Boy, the nation is waiting to hear from you Iowans. We were hoping for kind of a clear-cut decision from you on Monday, and now the latest we have is that there are 4 candidates in the Democratic primary, the Democratic caucuses, who are tied neck and neck.
Well,
is this supposed to happen?
I thought we gave the nation a clear-cut decision. Carol Mosley Braun's no longer in the race.
Oh. All right, well, that's one decision, and now we have all these journalists who are touring up and down Iowa, and they want to have some big headline. They don't want to have 4 names in the headline on Tuesday morning. Are Iowans just unable to come to a decision here?
Well, absolutely not. This is a wonderful opportunity for democracy. We've got great candidates, and they've really made the case. And for varying reasons, Iowans are very divided. Husbands and wives, mothers and sons divided over this. It's going to be a very interesting Monday night.
You and your wife, are you of one mind here, or?
Well,
is there anything you want to talk about, or?
Well, we have a split within the family, but it's not necessarily my wife and myself. It's my wife and my son.
I see.
Yes, and I have to stay neutral in all of this.
Lieutenant Governor Pedersen, how do Iowans feel about this primary? I mean, you have thousands of strangers driving from one end of the state to the other, and you're on television every night. And how do they feel about it?
We absolutely love it. You know, we love having people come here and see our state. We think we've got a great state. We like to show it off to the nation, and we take politics very seriously.
And ever so often, Iowans do change their mind. You are the first Democratic governor of Iowa in something like 30 years, no?
That's correct. That's correct. I'm really, really proud of our state. Iowans take this poll process very, very seriously. For the last 12 months, they've been inviting these candidates into their homes, into their communities, and asking some very difficult and tough questions, maybe even more difficult than the questions asked by the professional journalists. And I think we do a very good job of doing the retail politics that's required, because after Iowa and New Hampshire, it's all about 30-second commercials and airport stops. And America never really gets to know these people as people, and I think it's really important for us to know who the next president of the United States is going to be and what kind of person that individual is.
All right. Thank you so much. Lieutenant Governor Sally Pedersen and Governor Thomas Vilsack. Now, as long as they're here, I thought I should just lobby for my idea of what the state song of Iowa ought to be. Perhaps you already have a state song. I have no idea. There's a beautiful song that Mr. Greg Brown wrote called the Iowa Waltz. Home in the midst of the corn, in the middle of the USA. Here's where I was born, and here's where I'm going to stay. Iowa, Iowa, winter, spring, summer, and fall. Come and see, come dance with me to the beautiful Iowa waltz. We take care of our own, we take care of our young, and make hay while the sun shines. Growing our crops, sing little hymn. This could be somebody's state song. Maybe this could be a Minnesota state song. Samuel Longfellow wrote this winter carol. 'Tis winter now, the fallen snow has left the heavens all coldly clear. Through leafless boughs the sharp winds blow, and yet God's love is clear. Music by Monty Mason. 'Tis winter now.
'Tis winter now, the fallen snow has left our hands all coldly clear. Through leafless boughs the sharp winds blow, and all the earth lies dead and free. And yet God's love is not withdrawn. His life within the keen air brings. His beauty paints the crimson dawn, and clothes the boughs with glittering wreaths. And though abroad the sharp winds blow, and skies are chill, and frosts are keen, and skies are chill, and frosts are keen, come close and closer the night within, and warmer grows the light within. O God, who gives the winter's cold as well as summer's joyous rays, us warmly in thy love enfold, and keep us through life's wintry days.
Local lessons. Philip Burnell directing. Thomas Alexander is with us, and we're going to bring back Kelly Hunt a little bit later.
A dark night in a city that knows how to keep its secrets. But high above the quiet streets on the 12th floor of the Acme building, one man is still trying to find the answers to life's persistent questions. Guy Noir, Private Eye.
It was one of those January days when a freezing rain slows things down on the freeways, and rush hour looks like Napoleon's retreat from Moscow, and you can feel the road rage, all of the good Christian people slowly turning into serial killers. One more reason to be a private eye, because there's no rush in this business. You just sit in your office, put your feet up on your desk, and wait for the phone to ring. Like that right there. Yeah, Guy Noir, yeah.
Mr. Noir, my name is Chick Hickenlooper. I'm calling from Iowa. It's about the Iowa caucus.
Well, if you're asking me to come down and campaign, Mr. Hickenlooper, the answer is no. I am a lifelong undecided.
No, Mr. Noir, what I want...
But, you know, if your candidate isn't drawing well, I mean, I could come down, stand in the front row and clap, you know, if you need some older, heavy-set guys in blue serge suits.
No, I don't think you understand.
I mean, if you're looking for gravitas, you know, maybe you need some bigger people in the audience,
Mr.
not
Noir,
just these kids, you know, with the 28-inch waists.
Yeah,
I mean,
Mr. Noir,
I could stand there and look like I'd never heard the speech before.
Mr. Noir, if you don't
I could dress up as a farmer or a truck driver, you know, if you want to give it that touch. You know, I could,
Mr. Noir,
I could even be clergy if you want to, you know, maybe not Catholic, but, you know, Methodist, Presbyterian. Hello? Hello? Guess he got overexcited. He pushed the wrong button. Yeah, for the right price, I wouldn't mind going down to Iowa. being a supporter, trying to look all giddy and excited, hearing somebody talk about single-payer health care. And then he called back. Yeah, kind of why,
Mr. Noir, would you let me talk now?
Sure, yes, sure.
Thank you. I'm calling on behalf of the Walker poll. We used to be the Gallup poll, but the electorate is aging, so now we're the Walker.
Sure, all right.
Anyway, the Iowa caucuses are a big thing for us. Frankly, we're going crazy here. Our polling results are swinging wildly back and forth from hour to hour, and we'd like you to go down there and figure out which way the wind is blowing, okay?
Okay, all right. So off I went to Sioux City. I drove down across the prairie and came into town, saw a coffee shop called the Zeitgeist Diner. I walked in, not too crowded, sat down at the counter.
So, coffee?
Sure, yeah, thanks, black, fine. Yeah.
Here you
Interesting name, Zeitgeist.
Yeah, it's German.
Oh, I see,
Yeah, Pete Zeitgeist, he used to be the owner.
I see.
He sold it to Warren Welch-Mertz.
I see, interesting.
The menu?
Nah, just coffee.
All right.
Can't help but notice all those campaign bins on your apron there. Looks like you
sure.
got everybody there.
Oh, yeah.
Keen for Dean and Carry On with Carrie. Get Smart, Get Hard. Be Sharp with Sharpton. Jeepers Creepers, it's Lieberman. What's that one over there? Oh, Clark, A Shot in the Dark.
Yeah.
Sure.
Well, they're all so nice, and I love the primary. I look forward to it for 4 years.
Oh, really? How's that?
Well, it's just so friendly. You know, in your big states, politics is something you see on TV, but, you know, here in Iowa. Well, for example, John Kerry came over yesterday and brought a green bean casserole that he made himself.
Really?
Yeah, it was wonderful. And he fixed a slow drain while he was here.
Really?
Then Senator and Mrs. Lieberman came over, and I showed them slides from our trip to Arizona, and that was nice. Oh, and then Howard Dean came by.
Are you the county chairman?
Oh, no, just a voter. Just a voter. Anyway, Howard Dean came, and I mentioned this sore throat that I've had, and he went to the medicine cabinet to look for a thermometer, and, well, he noticed that the toilet was running, so he fixed the float mechanism with a bobby pin, and then the phone rang, and it was Wesley Clark saying that he sure was thinking about me. So, meanwhile, Dick Gephardt, he knocks on the door and notices that the door wasn't hanging right, and gosh, in 2 seconds flat, he had the door off the hinges, and he was planing and sanding it square, and put a real nice finish on it, and, well, then he asked to use the toilet, and I said, sure. So he went upstairs, and he decided that, Howard Dean had done everything wrong.
Oh, I see.
So, yeah, he took the float mechanism apart again and put on a new washer, and, well, then John Edwards came by with a batch of cookies in a Ziploc bag, and I took those up to the kids, and, of course, there was water on the floor, so I slipped and sprained my ankle. I had to call the babysitter to take care of the kids, and, well, Dennis Kucinich answered the phone, and he came right over, stayed for about 5 hours, and Howard Dean came with the ambulance, and when I got home, Senator Kerry had hooked up my cable modem, and Hadassah Lieberman had moved into the upstairs bedroom and was making meals and doing laundry. And it's been like that for 6 months now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you're going to be sorry when this whole thing is over.
Well,
it's so hard to get help, huh?
I'm going to miss these people.
Yeah.
I tell you, people who call Edwards a weak candidate haven't watched him open a jar of pickles.
Well,
you know?
Appreciate the good word.
Yeah.
Wish you well.
Okay.
So I went to the car and I called up Walker Polling.
Thank you for calling Walker Polling. Your call is important to us. If you wish to declare a preference in the primary, press 1 now. If you're calling from a crank-type phone, crank 2 longs and a short. If you wish to speak to an operator, dial or say 0.
0.
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand you.
I said 0.
If you said sorrow, please hang up and call the suicide hotline.
0. I said 0. Nada. Nothing. Null. No. Goose eggs. Absence. Emptiness. Vacuum.
Your call is being transferred to an operator.
Thank you.
Walker Polling, this is Darcy speaking. How may I direct your call?
Mr. Hickenlooper, please.
Oops, I'm sorry. There's no Mr. Hickenlooper here, sir.
There's no Hickenlooper?
No, sir. There's just Mrs. Hendrickson, Mr. Stacy, and me.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
You bet.
Something didn't smell right. Then I looked at my cell phone. I checked Mr. Hickenlooper's number, and it wasn't an Iowa area code. It was a Washington area code. So I called the number.
Yes, sir. Leader of the free world speaking. Hello.
Hello, Mr. President?
Yeah, leader of the free world here. Who's this? I'm the President of the United States. POTUS, that's me.
Okay.
Who is this?
It's Guy Noir, Mr. President. You called and asked me to go take a look at Iowa, the caucus.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
That's a little state with the flat top and the bottom and the wiggly sides?
That's right, Iowa. Right below Minnesota there.
Yeah. Got a caucus coming up there.
Right, caucuses, yeah.
Yeah. I knew there'd be a caucus. Well, with all them Caucasians down there.
Right, sure. That's true.
So how's it going out there, Mr. Noir? Who's winning there?
The caucus?
Yeah, kind of looks like John Dean, don't you think?
Howard Dean.
Howard Dean, that's right.
Yeah. Howard Dean.
How's he doing?
Oh, it's a very tight race here.
Yeah, well, I remember Iowa well.
Yes?
Fall of 1999.
Uh-huh.
I was all over the place.
Yeah.
Coffee parties, Kiwanis, Rotary.
Sure.
Campaigned on a platform of smaller government, balancing the budget.
We're from Sioux City, Iowa. We're in the northwestern corner of Iowa, settled by all those Dutch reform people who came over in the 1870s.
Probably so. No platform, huh?
Just recently, we had to get him on the show.
So you're going to campaign on this year, Mr. President?
Do a concert at the Art Center.
That's good.
What was on the concert? What were you playing?
Yeah, that's good.
Medicine for sick
I guess it
people.
was pretty much a representation of what I usually do with my concerts. I started out with classical repertoire before the intermission. And after, usually I would go take requests from the audience to be in the audience.
As a matter of fact, I hope to go there sometime.
Well, I hope you do, sir.
I guess that's the reason I kept coming back to Sioux City.
I got to run. Con your rest. It's calling about dinner. I think I'm supposed to bring the rice and peel out.
All right, good luck. Good luck. You take care.
A dark night in a city that knows how to keep its secrets, but one man is still trying to find the answers to life's persistent questions. Guy Noir, Private Eye.
Thank you.
And you're playing music here, and you're keeping your hand in, hoping that the Sioux City Symphony might rise up from the dead.
Oh, I guess.
Is there going to be a Sioux City Symphony so you can play with them?
Well, I heard indeed the conductor left them.
Oh.
But I guess it wouldn't be a pretty bad gig, you know?
Yeah, no, it'd be good. What would you like to play with them? Do you have a concerto in your back pocket? Or?
Well, one of my favorite things for orchestra would be Rhapsody in Blue by George Gershwin.
Oh, good. Wonderful.
Yeah.
They'd love that. They'd love that.
Oh, it's all American. Yeah.
All right. Thomas Alexander we're talking to, who found himself living here in America. Interesting story. Play something for us at the piano. What would you like to do, Thomas?
Well, right now I'd like to give you guys all a representation of what my biggest hobby on the piano would be, which is not necessarily playing the classical stuff.
Okay.
But improvising and letting my heart go out in the music.
All right.
So I would like to take a simple tune like we all know. That usually people can play in the first year of lessons. But then, see what I can do with this. All right, so thank you. I hope you all enjoy it.
Thank you all. Mr. Thomas Alexander and variations on Prairie. So great to have him with us, and Kelly Hunt and this wonderful choir which took the bus down from Minneapolis. I was lucky to grow up among people who regarded singing as a normal thing to do around the home. Anytime you were working and doing dishes or doing housework, making beds, wasn't considered odd to break into song. Remember, my father would go by pushing the lawnmower, singing, "I love to tell the story of unseen things above, Jesus and his glory, Jesus and his love." We just didn't think it was an odd thing. Mostly we sang hymns because that was what we knew best growing up in Lake Wobegon. And if somebody else was singing, your mother, your aunt sat down at the piano, you just leaned over their shoulder and you sang a second part with them.
Sweet hour of prayer, sweet hour of prayer, that calls me from a world of care and bids me at my Father's throne, make all my wants and wishes known. In seasons of distress and grief, my soul has often found relief, and oft escaped the tempter's snare by thy return, sweet hour of prayer.
We were sanctified brethren in our home, and we never had a choir because anytime we'd get big enough to even start thinking about having a choir, we would find something in Scripture to disagree about. And rather than tolerate false doctrine, we would split, of course. With our high standards of doctrinal purity, we were lucky to be able to put together a mixed quartet. So we were pretty dubious about the Lutherans because they had such magnificent choirs, immense choirs. You listened to those Lutherans in Lake Wobegon sing, and you just knew that of all of those singers, there must be some there who were not in line with revealed truth on the doctrine of sanctification by grace, or who were smoking secretly, or who didn't know about predestination or something. But there they were. They were singing with all of the rest of them. I knew that some of those Lutherans drank and they went to dances. They let their carnal natures run free in the form of the schottisch, but there they were. We knew that if you threw out the singers who were guilty of unconfessed sin, probably you'd be light in the tenor section, and a lot of the sopranos would probably have to go too. But we sure envied them that beautiful sound that they made in the Lutheran church.
And keep us
And then a block away and up the street was Our Lady of Perpetual Responsibility Catholic Church. Those mysterious Catholics. We could smell the incense in the summer. We could hear the priest's voice rising and falling in the Mass. And when I heard their choir sing, I had to think about the girl I was in love with then in the 7th grade, Cecilia, those large brown eyes. And so maybe their music meant more to me than it meant to most other people, knowing that the sainted Cecilia was in their midst singing Sanctus. Cecilia, Saint Cecilia. I see her in 7th grade every day, and when we gather for the school assembly and we pledge allegiance to the flag, it's really Cecilia I'm pledging my allegiance to. And when we sing, "Oh, beautiful for spacious skies," it is her beauty I am thinking of. I'm thinking of her amber waves of hair. I am thinking of her fruited plains. America. Our town is an alabaster city. In the winter it is, when the roofs are covered with snow. Beautiful for its snowy fields and the gray skeletons of trees and the skaters circling in the dark under the streetlights. Our beautiful houses. God has shed his grace on us in the form of snow. And then we go to homeroom, and Mrs. Swenson tells us to take out a clean sheet of paper and number it from 1 to 15, and it's a current events quiz, which is my best subject in school. But then I remember that today is choir, and Miss Falconer is expecting us to have memorized the 3 songs that we are learning for Parents' Day. Next week, which I don't know because I hate them because they're so dumb. Miss Falconer is an elegant lady in this small town in tailored clothes, and she wears glasses with precious gems set into the frames, which hang from a chain around her neck. And she directs us with sudden bird-like movements of her bare hands, and with a fierce look in her eye, her back to the audience, her eyes burning, looking at us, and her mouth forming the syllables of the lyrics. She's frightening to look at. She hisses at us. She hisses at us. How many times do I have to tell you, look at me? But we can't look at her because she's so awful to look at. We're so frightened of her, especially us tenors. We're frightened of her because we do drag, we tenors. Each of us was recently an alto, and then our voices changed. We became tenors, except we're not sure we are tenors. So we have to wait for each boy. Each boy waits for the boy next to him to sing the note so he's sure he's singing the right one. That's why we drag. We just want to be sure. And in case we may be making a mistake, we sing very softly. "I can't hear you," she says. Well, that's why. And it doesn't help that she has picked these 3 truly dumb songs. "Yo ho ho, sing the merry gondoliers," and "Off to the woods we go to gather birch boughs for Mari's wedding." And April is in my mistress' face, and July in her eyes hath place. Within her bosom lies September, but in her heart a cold December. When I sing about her bosom, I think about Miss Falconer in her underwear with leaves between her breasts. Bill Swenson, who stands behind me, once sang this line, within her bosom lies Bill Swenson. And if you let yourself think about that as you're singing, you will start to snort. And if you've got a couple of tenors snorting, pretty soon the whole section falls apart. Sing, children, sing, she said. And she had the girls sing. She had the girls sing, April is in my mistress's face.
April is in my mistress's face. April is in my mistress's face. April is in my mistress's face.
And then she tapped on her music stand. And she said, tenors, I want you to sing your part now so that I know that you have it. I want you to sing one at a time. One at a time. We all die inside. Our hearts collapse. Across the room, the girls sit and they smirk at us. And she has Russell stand up. Russell knows his part because he takes piano, so he has an advantage. Russell, she says, sing.
April is in my mistress' face. April is in my mistress' face.
Very good, very good, very good. And now Bill, you try this now. And Bill steps up.
April is in my mistress' face. April is in my mistress' face.
And then she looks at me. I don't feel well. I had chicken a la king for lunch. I had green Jell-O with Miracle Whip and crushed walnuts. But I try. April is in my mistress' face. April's so good when it's finally over. It's like gym class in gymnastics when you have to do a flying somersault and you wait for your turn and the gym teacher looks at you and says, you next, and you have to run like a lumbering moose, like a great wounded animal, and collapse on the mat. And when you have to do the rope climb, it's a terrible moment, like those moments in physics when you're daydreaming and suddenly you have to come up with an answer which you didn't even understand the problem even when you were paying attention. There's so many moments like that, but you persevere. You come back for 8th grade choir and 9th grade choir, and one day you go to choir and you have something to sing that isn't torture anymore. You love the piece and you feel so graceful singing it. It's like a gorgeous piece of cloth of which you are one thread. Caught up with other people in a moment of grace, like geese flying in formation, like a tree full of birds that suddenly rises up and wheels off toward the west, like a school of fish. The beauty of music, the beauty of being with the others, to be beautiful in just the same way that all of them are beautiful. That's the gorgeous thing about music. Join us and sing with us just a chorus of that song you sang so beautifully. Sing it like geese, like birds rising up. Praise God, from whom all blessings flow. Praise him, all creatures here below. Praise him above, ye heavenly hosts. Praise Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. Praise God, from whom all blessings
our show from the Orpheum Theater here in Sioux City, Iowa. I want to thank this wonderful choir, Vocal Lessons, and Philip Brunel for making the long trip down on the bus. Have a good ride back. Our show made possible tonight by the people at Land's End, who'd love for you to visit them on the web at www.landsend.com, and also by the Sleep Number Bed by Select Comfort. Thanks to Tim Russell and Sue Scott, Rich Dworsky back here in the All-Star Shoe Band, Pat Donahue, Gary Rayner on the bass, Arnie Kinsella on the drums, and Johnny Neiman joining us on the fiddle and the mandolin. Thanks to Charles Kemper for playing piano with the choir here, and thanks so much to Thomas Alexander and Kelly Hunt for joining us. Come back and play some more soon. Our show tonight, written by Sarah Bellum, our technical director, Mr. Scott Rivard, our stage manager is Albert Webster, and the house sound was by Sam Hudson. Such a pleasure to be in this old river town, riverboat town, railroad town, stockyard town. At one time, here in the midst of all of the Dutch Reformed and the Calvinists, one of the wildest, loosest cities in Iowa. Temperance somehow just never took hold here in Sioux City. It had a red light district that just went on and on and on. Somehow it became this graceful city today here on the river. All these beautiful old wooden houses with the verandas and all of these sweet, good people. So good to be in your midst. It's a city that a person could learn to love very easily. They didn't spend a lot of money on ambience here in Sioux City, and so they have a lot of it. You just have to walk around and see. Try this waltz. I love this waltz. Iowa. Try one. Here comes the chorus right now. Everybody, thanks. Good night. Prairie Home Companion has been made possible by the friendly people at Land's End and by the Sleep Number Bed from Select Comfort. The bed that is designed to let couples sleep peacefully without compromising on comfort. You can find the store nearest you at 1-800-SLEEP-NUMBER.